He is none other than PJ Carlesimo. How are you, Coach?
Hey, Rich, how are you? Really good, thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you on here, man.
Happy to.
What was the biggest surprise for you that you personally eyeballed this past weekend?
Personally, I'd have to say the only real surprise in ours was Syracuse over Michigan State, but calling it a surprise is not. I mean, I'll tell you, as you well know, first of all, Syracuse is a very good team, and that zone is a bear for teams that haven't played against it, and it's kind of strange. The Big Ten is a man-to-man league, and as great a three-point shooting team as they are and as good a rebounding team as they are, I mean, they had 29 offensive rebounds, Michigan State. I'm not, I can say honestly, I thought it was going to be a good game. If you made me pick, of course, I would have picked Michigan State, but I can't say I'm really surprised. But of the 6 games we had, that was the only one that people kind of were like, wow, how did that happen? But, if these teams played in the regular season, that's the thing. Everybody goes a little buggy with the seeding numbers and everything in the tournament. If Syracuse plays Michigan State in the regular season, everybody goes, oh, it's a nice matchup. ACC, Big Ten, who's going to win this one? They play now, and they put the numbers on them, and everybody goes, how did whatever they were, a 2 lose to an 11 or whatever? So, I kind of laugh sometimes, particularly when it's the big conferences. Now, you start talking UMBC or some of the other ones, that blew me away. I thought UVA was the best team in the regular season in the country, and by a clear margin. I mean, they dominated arguably the best league in the country from day one till the end of the year. So that game was a stunner beyond belief.
Well, I mean, and I know you're one of those too. I said this yesterday, being a Staten Islander, growing up, born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. It's tough to call Syracuse an ACC team. I will never get used to that.
Thank you.
And
I'm with you.
You being a guy who was around Wagner College for all those years on Grimes Hill.
Man, I'm an honorary Staten Islander.
I know you are. And all those years at Seton Hall. What makes it so tough, that 2-3 zone? What's so tough about it when you?
Well, first of all, it sounds simplistic, but that's all they play. And most people that mess around with zones, it's their second or third defense. Like I'm a man-to-man team, but I'm going to put a zone in, and they don't do it as well. Jim only plays the 2-3 zone. So first of all, he's the best teacher, in my opinion, of the 2-3 zone ever. You can talk about Harry Litwack and the great temple zones and all that stuff, but I mean, I think I could defend that statement. He's the best teacher of a zone there's ever been. That's all they play. So that's a huge thing. They recruit to it. They have this incredible length. They've got guys with, good hands, long arms, good hands. I mean, they recruit that way. So they play the zone very, very well. And other people are not used to playing against it. Now, that's out the window a little bit in their next game because they're playing Duke, who plays them every year. So it's not as big a factor. But they play a Michigan State, or they play somebody that hasn't seen, their zone, or in Michigan State's case, not very much zone at all. It's night and day difference. Mike Hopkins came out to University of Washington. I live in Seattle Ridge. He came out to University of Washington and did a great job. He won 20-some games. They got beat last night by St. Mary's in the NIT. But again, same thing. One defense. It was kind of new to the Pac-12. People had trouble adjusting. He beats Kansas in Kansas City in the regular season with it. Had an unbelievable turnaround year. He was Coach of the Year in the Pac-12. Should be in the mix for Coach of the Year in the country. But same deal again. One defense, and as he recruits players that fit that style, he'll be even more effective in the future.
PJ Carlesimo here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before we turn to the pros, I want to spend a couple more minutes on the bracket. Who do you think wins it? Now that if you could redraw right now, redo your bracket from here on out, would it be any different?
I'm bad. Well, I don't. You know what? Honestly, I don't mess with brackets. I always laugh and say I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I watch a game and I can tell you what happened and why it happened, but
sure.
I can't figure out what's going to happen. I liked Villanova all year. I had them once. They've got everything. They've got experience. They've got relative size. They're an excellent three-point shooting team. They're an excellent defensive team. They make free throws. They don't turn the ball over. They have a great point guard. They have a great coach. So, yeah, easily a solid pick. I'm liking Duke the way they're playing right now. I had Bill Self did maybe the best coaching job he's done, but I like Duke better just because of the pure talent, particularly up front. People don't have anybody to deal with Bagley, and Grayson Allen's a great player. So I like Duke and Nova right now, which means, unfortunately, for Jay and Mike, you can probably eliminate both of them. But
well, one of them might eliminate the other if you're right, because
exactly.
they would face each other in the Final Four. It's PJ Carlesimo here on the Rich Eisen Show. How often do you think about 1989 if it's not brought up to you?
Not often, never if it's not brought up to me. But I live in Seattle.
Right.
So, a week doesn't go by that somebody doesn't say to me, hey, I was at the game in the Kingdom when you guys got beat. And funny, we also played here 2 years later. In the Elite Eight, we got beat by UNLV, the undefeated UNLV team that Mike beat, that Duke beat. After UNLV wins it in 90, we played them in 91, the team that was undefeated at that time. I don't know what they were, 30-0 or something like that. In the Elite Eight, we beat Arizona in the round of 16, and we lose. So, two pretty painful losses were in the Kingdom, or you could say it was pretty nice playing in a championship game and getting to the Elite Eight in the Kingdom. So people bring it up. Obviously you can't change it. Sometimes you say, damn, we really we should have won one, but hey, that's the way it goes, unfortunately.
Hey, at least they blew the Kingdom up, PJ, right?
Exactly. I like the building, to be honest with you. Of all the domes, I hate some of the domes, and the one thing I don't like will be in San Antonio, obviously.
Sure.
I hate the big buildings. To me, I still would rather it be played in a basketball building than these football buildings, but I understand people want to be there. I don't know why you want to be there when you're that far away from the action, but it is what it is.
I'm with you. Obviously it's big money, big stuff. I remember Rupp Arena held a Final Four one year, like old school barn, right?
Exactly.
Way back in the day, but I guess that 89 game at all, if you could change one thing other than the result, what happened, do you think, that you could wave a wand?
Honestly, when it was over, our kids got a lot. They gave them great credit to Seton Hall kids for the way they handled it. They didn't second guess the call. We talked to them and said, hey, it is what it is. Don't, take away from what Michigan did. I just wish, obviously, that the call wasn't made because I think Ramil would have passed the ball to Loy Vaught. They're coming down in transition. Ramil could have shot it himself, but I think he probably throws the ball on the right wing to Loy Vaught, who was a good shooter, not a great shooter, but a good shooter, and he makes it or misses it, and that's the way it should have ended. But it was one of those games where, watching the tape, there wasn't a lot of things we'd do differently, truly. We had the ball. We couldn't take it to the wire. We had to shoot it. We missed our last shot. We wound the clock down and missed it. And, we had a play we had worked on it that morning at Seattle University, full court pass. But Terry Mills was on Ramon Ramos, and combination of Ramon was on him. The photographers were behind him. He couldn't quite back up enough to really make the kind of pass we wanted. So Darrell Walker did a good job catching the ball, but we didn't get the shot we should have gotten out of that. Even, a full court situation, it was something we had worked on and every day, and we finally got a chance to use it. It's funny, we spent a lot of time on it and obviously didn't execute it very well when it mattered.
PJ Carlesimo here on the Rich Eisen Show. What did you think when you heard the news that Ty Lue was stepping away for what they're hoping is a short period of time? Right
first
here.
of all, I was very surprised. I'm actually flying to Cleveland in about 10, 15 minutes, but I've got Toronto at Cleveland tomorrow night. I was surprised. I didn't see that. I had them a couple of times. I'm glad he did. Let me say that. I'm happy he did. I'm hoping that it's just what they said it is, a week away or something like that. Might get him caught up. I talked to Mike Fratello, a real close friend who lives in Cleveland and spends time with them when he's not with Turner, and he said that sleep is the biggest issue. Whatever is causing it, he can't get to sleep. And you don't get enough sleep when you're coaching in the NBA to begin with. When on top of that, when you got an issue getting sleep, you got no chance because you're always tired to begin with because you don't get enough sleep. So he's got to get that under control. I think Lou's done a great job, Rich, to be honest with you. A lot of people say, yeah, I'd like to coach LeBron and ABCD, but guess what? They've had issues every year. It's been like almost a circus in Cleveland every year, firing coaches, doing massive trades in the middle of the year, guys leaving. It's amazing, and I think he's done a good job holding it together, getting to the finals every year, winning a championship. So I hope Lou's back.
Just knowing, what it takes, PJ. What do you think goes on as he's staring up at the ceiling at 2:30 in the morning? Walk somebody through all of that?
I just think it's I don't know what, I'm hoping it's something that's caused by, some kind of medical thing that they can get him some medicine or they can get him something that gets him in control a little bit. But he literally cannot. I mean, if what Mike Fratello's relating to me secondhand, he can't fall asleep. Well, you just have no chance. I mean, you're happy to get 5-6 hours if if you're lucky a lot of nights and getting ready. Yeah, you lean on your assistants a lot. Larry Drew will do a great job right now. But I mean, there's just so much whizzing in your head. Chuck Daly used to have a number, and I forget what it was. He used to say how many decisions you would make in an NBA game versus a college game because it's, shorter time clock. The end of the game is so rigged up with the clock stopping and advancing the ball and things like that it's just, it's like constant decisions. So I can understand it takes a while to wind down, but it can't take till 9 o'clock the next morning. You got no shot then. I mean, you'll have no energy left to do the things you have to do.
Last one before you head off to the airport, PJ, is our poll question today is asking fans if they're superstitious when they watch a game. Who's the most superstitious player or coach you've ever been around?
Oh, damn, I should know that because I've been around both. You know what? I just because I'm approaching senility, Rich, I can't come up with it, but I know both. I know coaches that wear same tie, same suit, game after game or big game after big game. NBA, you can't do it game after game, but big game after big game. And there's a lot of players that their routine is identical, and it's not necessarily because it's getting to sleep or getting to food. It's crazy other stuff that they do, which route they take to the gym, and what they'll wear and stuff like that. But I can't remember a name, but there's a lot of it around. Believe me.
And you never
a lot of coaches that do it, and there's a lot of players.
You never were yourself? You never did that?
No, I didn't. I was always convinced it made no difference. I was realistic, to be honest with you. I knew very little that I was doing had a lot of impact on the game. So certainly what I was wearing or what I was eating or what road I took to the arena certainly wasn't going to impact it.
PJ, love our chat, man. Let's do it again real soon. Safe travels. I always enjoy listening to you.
All right, Rich, you too. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Go Staten Island.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's The Rock, PJ Carlesimo.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.